There are places on Earth where history feels unfinished, not because civilizations never reached them, but because the mountains refuse to let the outside world in. High above the valleys, beyond roads that vanish into stone and forests wrapped in clouds, small communities have lived in remarkable isolation for centuries. Their stories survived without books or written records, passed only through memory from one generation to the next. For decades, anthropologists believed these villages were simply isolated branches of larger populations. Their customs were unusual, their language preserved unfamiliar sounds, and their traditions hinted at extraordinary age. But none of that seemed impossible. Human cultures evolve. Languages change. Isolation creates difference. Or so everyone believed. Then, one discovery changed everything. An international team of archaeologists, anthropologists, linguists, and geneticists began studying the oral traditions of these mountain communities. Again and again, they heard the same remarkable story. The elders claimed their ancestors had never migrated into these mountains. They had always been there. Most historians treated these accounts as origin myths, the kind found in cultures around the world. Yet something stood out. Villages separated by dangerous mountain passes repeated nearly identical stories with astonishing consistency, preserving details that had survived for countless generations. That consistency raised an unexpected question. What if these stories preserved fragments of real history? As preparations for a new expedition began, local elders revealed the location of an ancient cave known only within their community, a place believed to be the resting place of their earliest ancestors. Reaching it was anything but easy, hidden behind steep cliffs, dense forest, and a cascading waterfall. The cave blended almost perfectly into the surrounding mountains. Without local guides, it would have remained invisible. Inside, time seemed frozen. Thin beams of sunlight pierced the darkness, illuminating dust that had remained undisturbed for centuries. Stone walls carried unfamiliar markings. Fragments of woven textiles rested beside carefully crafted stone tools, exactly where they had been left long ago. Then the team discovered a small burial chamber. Beneath layers of ancient sediment, a remarkably preserved human remains surrounded by ceremonial objects. The careful arrangement suggested intentional burial, while the cave's stable environment had protected fragile materials rarely preserved elsewhere. Every grain of soil became evidence. Every artifact was documented, photographed, and carefully removed under strict archaeological protocols. Bone fragments were selected for radiocarbon dating and ancient DNA analysis, using contamination-free laboratory procedures. As the excavation continued, subtle inconsistencies began to emerge. The burial traditions differed from neighboring cultures. The craftsmanship of the tools was unfamiliar. Even the skeletal features raised new questions. Individually, each detail could be explained. Together, they formed a mystery. Back in the laboratory, specialists compared the artifacts, language, skeletal anatomy, and regional history. The prevailing theory remained unchanged. This isolated community was almost certainly descended from populations already known to science. Their uniqueness was simply the result of centuries of geographic isolation. It was a convincing explanation. Until the DNA samples arrived. Inside one of the world's most advanced ancient DNA laboratories, scientists prepared to sequence genetic material preserved within the remains. Every precaution was taken. Independent laboratories agreed to verify the results before any conclusions would be accepted. The researchers expected confirmation. Instead, they uncovered a genetic signature unlike anything they had anticipated. For thousands of years, the mountains had guarded their secret. Now, they were finally beginning to reveal it.